The Great Chinese Famine, which occurred between 1959 and 1961, was one of the most devastating humanitarian crises in modern history. With estimates of deaths ranging from 15 to 45 million people, the famine left an indelible mark on China's society, economy, and culture. While the causes of the famine were largely political and agricultural, its effects shaped the nation's relationship with food. This tragic chapter not only influenced food availability, but also had a lasting impact on Chinese culinary practices, shaping how food is viewed and prepared in China today. Causes of the famine. Political and environmental factors. The famine's origins lay in a combination of political mismanagement and environmental conditions. The Chinese Communist Party, led by Mao Zedong, launched the Great Leap Forward in 1958, an economic campaign intended to rapidly industrialize the country and increase agricultural productivity through collective farming. However, unrealistic grain production targets, poor agricultural policies, and the diversion of labor towards industrial projects, such as backyard steel production, contributed to a sharp decline in food output. Local officials, eager to meet the central government's expectations, often exaggerated grain harvests. As a result, much of the grain was taken by the state for export or redistribution to urban areas, leaving rural communities with insufficient food. Additionally, natural disasters like droughts and floods further compounded the crisis, creating one of the worst famines in recorded history. The famine's impact on food culture in a nation where food scarcity became the norm. The Great Chinese Famine changed the way people thought about food. It forced individuals and communities to adapt in creative and resourceful ways, many of which are reflected in Chinese culinary traditions today. Frugality and waste reduction. The scarcity of food during the famine ingrained a deep sense of frugality in the Chinese mindset. This period made wasting food a cultural taboo, a sentiment that remains strong today. Every part of an animal, plant, or grain was utilized to its fullest extent. Dishes that incorporate offal, bones, skins, and other often discarded parts, like chicken feet or pig intestines, reflect this approach to minimizing waste. Innovation with limited ingredients. During the famine, people had to make do with whatever they could find to survive. Wild plants, tree bark, and even grass were sometimes consumed. Although these desperate measures were born out of necessity, they sparked a lasting tradition of culinary creativity and resourcefulness in Chinese cuisine. Today, ingredients that might be considered unconventional in the West, such as seaweed, lotus root, and various types of fungi, are staples in many Chinese dishes. This resourcefulness is also seen in the emphasis on balanced meals, where small amounts of protein, like meat, are stretched by pairing them with large quantities of vegetables or rice. Preserving and fermenting. To manage food shortages, Chinese people historically developed various methods of preserving food. Rice and staple foods. The famine solidified the central role of rice and other staple grains, like wheat and millet, in Chinese food culture. During the Great Leap Forward, grain production and distribution were tightly controlled by the government. Rice, which has always been a symbol of sustenance in Chinese culture, became even more valuable as a primary food source. The careful preparation and appreciation for simple, nourishing grains are still deeply embedded in Chinese culinary practices today. Psychological impact. Food as a symbol of security. The psychological impact of the famine also deeply influenced Chinese attitudes toward food. For many survivors, food came to represent not just nourishment, but security and survival. This shift is visible in several cultural behaviors. Food as a sign of prosperity. Following the famine, the desire for food abundance became a symbol of recovery and prosperity. This is reflected in the importance of food in Chinese social gatherings and celebrations. Serving an excess of food is a sign of wealth, respect, and good fortune. During festivals like Chinese New Year, families often prepare elaborate feasts with a variety of dishes to symbolize abundance and well-being. Stockpiling food. Many Chinese households, especially among older generations, still maintain the practice of stockpiling non-perishable food items. This practice stems from the collective memory of the famine, where food scarcity created uncertainty about future meals. Even in times of plenty, there remains a cautious attitude toward ensuring that food supplies are available. The modern evolution of Chinese food today, Chinese cuisine is celebrated for its diversity, complexity, and rich history. The enduring legacy of the famine has made Chinese food culture one of resilience and adaptation. While modern Chinese food has evolved significantly since the famine years, the focus on resourcefulness, frugality, and the deep appreciation for food remains evident. In recent years, China's food industry has also shifted towards embracing sustainability and reducing waste, reflecting the long-standing cultural practices that emerged during and after the famine. As China continues to develop economically, the abundance of food has allowed for the return of more elaborate dishes and the reintroduction of culinary techniques that were once sidelined during the years of hardship. Conclusion: the Great Chinese Famine left a profound mark on Chinese society, fundamentally altering how food was viewed, prepared, and consumed. Chinese food culture today is shaped by both the memories of scarcity and the desire for abundance. The culinary traditions that emerged from this period of hardship, frugality, innovation, and respect for food are still alive in the diverse and vibrant Chinese cuisine enjoyed around the world. While the famine was a period of unimaginable suffering, its legacy has had a lasting influence on China's relationship with food, transforming it into a symbol of resilience and survival.